Good night to everyone. This session is dedicated to the presentation of the planning work of the city, metropolitan city of Naples. There are some employees of the metropolitan city here. And the first two ladies will speak about strategic planning. According to the Italian law, metropolitan cities has to prepare every 3 years a strategic plan, and the city of Naples has a second edition of this strategic plan. Then we have Valeria Vanella, who speak about the urban mobility sustainable plan. This is one more task of the metropolitan city. And Giovanni Cafiero is a consultant of the city of Naples, the metropolitan city of Naples, who will give some lines, some topics of the Territorial Metropolitan Plan. While the strategic plan and the mobility plan are already officially approved, the Metropolitan Territorial Plan is not yet, is in the process and is not finally approved. We'll finish the presentation, Paola Napolitano, speak about resilience questions. So every one of you have 15 minutes. We have to finish all the presentation in 1 hour, so I will start my watch to measure the time. And start with Sabrina Sgambati, please.
Thank you for the presentation. We are engineer Sabrina Sgambati and architect Sofia Cafaro from the strategic planning area of the Metropolitan City of Naples. And engineer Pasquale Gaudino, which is the coordinator of the strategic planning area, apologies for not being here today with us because of institutional commitments. So we will start with this presentation about the Naples Metropolitan Planning Overview. Just to, oh, sorry. Okay. Just to start with a little overview about the role of metropolitan cities in Italy. Law 56 established metropolitan cities as territorial entities with different institutional purposes, including the strategic development of the territory and the integrated management of networks, infrastructures, and services, as well the care of institutional relationship with European cities and other metropolitan areas. Among the tasks assigned to metropolitan cities by this law, it is worth highlighting the development of the strategic planning, the governance of territorial planning, the management of the mobility and road systems, and the promotion and coordination of economic and social development in line with national and international lines of intervention and, of course, in line with the European objectives. Well, in line with these fundamental functions, the Metropolitan City of Naples deals with the development and updating of 3 important spatial planning tools, which are specifically the 3-year strategic plan and its annual update, the Territorial Metropolitan Plan, and finally, the Urban Plan of Sustainable Mobility. Furthermore, the Metropolitan City of Naples is in charge of the management of the Integrated Urban Plan, inserted in the Italian Recovery Plan and in line with the European program Next Generation EU. So these plans that are shown in these slides. The strategic plan is part of the statute of the Metropolitan City, and in particular, Article 31 of the statute states that Through general strategic planning, the metropolitan city identifies the overall long-term strategy for the economic and social development of the metropolitan community, while Article 32 of the statutes identifies its contents, defining that in the strategic plan, actions aimed at defining the identity and growth horizon of the metropolitan area are set in order to improve the living conditions, health, relations, and well-being of citizens of the metropolitan area. The process of establishing the Metropolitan Strategic Plan is made up of two strands. The first is linked to policymaking, as you can see in this slide, and consists of the approval of the strategic guidelines and the definition and scheduling of projects. While the second phase, the second strand of this process is the administrative management that includes different phases. At the current state, this process has brought to the completion of almost 99% of the projects, with a total of more than 64 billion disbursed to the municipalities that obtain the fundings for the strategic plan. And in this framework, by resolution of the Metropolitan Mayor, the coordinating committee was established with the aim of creating an entity to supervise the proper implementation of the plan between the and the agreement between the metropolitan city and the municipalities. The committee is also aimed at promoting the synergic collaboration between territorial bodies, so between the metropolitan city and the municipality, and find the proper solutions to the obstacles in the implementation achievement. The strategic plan process is articulated in different phases and involves different actors and activities. So let's see some of these steps. Starting from the programming document 2022-2024, the new lines of action of the plan 2023-2025 were approved in December 2022. These lines of action deals with 6 measures connected to the Italian recovery plan and also to the next generation EU programs and to objectives of metropolitan interest. Specifically, they are Measure 1, digitalization, innovation, tourism and culture, Measure 2, sustainable mobility, then social inclusion, urban regeneration and sport, and ecological transition and territory protection. And finally, we have Measure 5, education and research, and health and metropolitan wellness, Measure 6. The first 3 measures has been defined as priority measures for the period 2023-2025, and they involve different actions and projects. On the basis of these measures, the Metropolitan Council has approved a budget variation for 22 million and a sign of interest with the municipalities of the metropolitan area, resulting in 22 new projects to be added to the group of projects of metropolitan interest. So this group of projects that is named Parco Progetti. Recently, the document and its annexes have been approved by the Council, and so also the new Parco Progetti. In parallel, considering that the strategic plan is for its nature a dynamic process, it has intertwined with seismic risk prevention measures in the Phlegrean area, Naples, provided by Law 140, due to the bradisism that affect our territory. Initiating in this way a participatory process with the municipalities of Naples, Bacoli, and Pozzuoli for the implementation of seismic risk mitigation interventions. So this is part of the dynamic update of the plan. And so by Council resolution, investment priorities for the implementation of earthquake risk prevention investments were defined with a budget change of 14 million within the Parco Progetti. It followed, in fact, that the identification of 12 projects deemed consistent with the strategic objective of seismic risk reduction and so inserted in the new Parco Progetti. So I pass the baton to Sofia.
Secondly, we have another planning tool that is the PTM, identified by the statute as a tool of coordination and general spatial planning of the metropolitan area. The Metropolitan City Statute issues that the Metropolitan Spatial Plan is made by two components called the structural part and the programmatic part. First one deals with the environmental restrictions and protection of cultural heritage. Second one includes programmatic lines of action involving the whole municipalities complex. The two core principles of the implementation of the plan are to aim a process as much as possible shared and participated and suited to create a new metropolitan identity. The strategies of the plan have been developed according to the following topics here described, such as soil consumption, cultural heritage, and climate changes. And here is a graphic synthesis of the proposals and projects according to the mentioned topics. Another planning tool envisaged in a metropolitan city is the PUMS, PUMS, which is dedicated to sustainable urban mobility. This tool uses a participatory approach aimed at developing mobility as a strategic asset for the territory. But this theme will be explored in the following reports. The investment of integrated urban plans is part of the inclusion and cohesion mission of the NRRP, according to one of the European pillars at the Next Generation EU program. PUI's attempt to enhance the social dimension of health, urban planning, and housing policies. Naples is the metropolitan city in Italy with the largest amount of NRRP funds for PUI investment, for a total of 6 projects within the metropolitan area. PUI 16 integrates and completes the redevelopment strategy of the area in the northern suburbs of the city, which is has already begun with the demolition of one of the famous vele. PUI 17 has a main objectives, the eco-sustainable refunctioning of the area and the integration of secondary equipment to serve the residential units. PUI 18 pursues the sustainable redevelopment and the recovery of existing sports complexes to be set up as attraction poles capable of reactivating parts of the territory. PUI 19, in the hands of the municipality of Cardito, rethinks the idea of movement and connection in the local area, intervening in the optimization of the public transport and in the activation of a social and collective action. PUI 20 aims to trigger a virtuous economic process through sports and green mobility. PUI 21 aims to innervate and reactivate the coastal municipalities of the Vesuvian area and reconnect them with some strategic places in the inland areas. The role of the Metropolitan City of Naples has progressively taken shape as that of the lead co-responsible body, and thus it has first of all been responsible for identifying the project that can be financed, and then for submitting the application and aggregating the various proposals in the integrated plans. And currently, during the implementation phase, it is in charge of monitoring, assistance, and dialogue with the other institutions involved. In conclusion, the planning activity of the metropolitan city should be considered as aimed at creating a common identity for the population of the metropolitan area and a common vision of the territory through the coordination and integration of the metropolitan planning instrument presented so far. Thank you for your attention.
Thank you. Now we have had an overview of all planning activity of the Metropolitan City of Naples. After that, we focus on mobility. Valeria Vanella was the manager of the project on mobility, also if she was not working anymore in the city of Naples, or in the Metropolitan City of Naples, but in the Naples municipality. But she has good remembers of the all her work, and she will speak about that. Thank you, Valeria.
Okay. No. Okay. Good evening. As Professor Moccia said, I'm no longer part of the Metropolitan City, but as former coordination manager of the Sustainable Urban Mobility Plan, I'm going to present you some issues about mobility planning, especially the ones that are strictly connected to the spatial planning process. To introduce the topic, I think it's necessary to spend some words about sustainability. Circular economy was a change of perspective that changed and still change, has a strong impact on our society. Sustainable development that encompasses environmental, cultural, economic and social consideration is a cornerstone of many global and local policies. At European level, these policies include initiatives aimed at reducing greenhouse gas emissions and fostering sustainable mobility. In order to have a better quality of life in urban context, the European Union promotes the sustainable urban mobility plans across all European countries. That's why the European Commission delivered the guidelines for developing and implementing a sustainable urban mobility plan. So SAMP is a strategic plan structured on 3 key factors: integration, participation, and evaluation. The planning process, which is described in detail in the guidelines, is a circular process. And that means that the end of the cycle is the starting point for another cycle. So it's a circular one, as you can see in the picture. At national level, the interconnection between metropolitan areas is seen as a key factor for territorial development. Metropolitan areas are described as the right level to plan sustainable urban mobility in an integrated approach with strategic and spatial planning. So within the framework of European mobility policies and binding national regulations, and in the context of the Metropolitan Strategic Plan, the Metropolitan City of Naples started the planning process to develop its sustainable urban mobility plan together with a spatial plan by the end of 2019. Well, initial efforts merged around establishing an interdepartmental core team. Its task was to deliver strategic guidelines for the forthcoming Metropolitan SAMP. The guidelines were approved by the Metropolitan Council in the late summer of 2020. The document includes relevant elements. First of all, the identification of the functional urban area. Well, the functional urban area that should be based on main traffic flows is here identified with the whole metropolitan area, I mean with the administrative borders, in order to share the same context with the spatial planning process. The document also contains general objectives of the forthcoming SAMP. The goals are, first of all, limiting private car usage because of its outsized contribution on greenhouse gases emissions, promoting public transportation, especially rail-based, and implementing active mobility, especially cycling mobility. This last goal leads to the decision to have an autonomous, though interconnected plan, the bike plan. Well, the metropolitan city decided then to seek an external support. So a panel of an interdisciplinary experts was selected through a public competition, and the group started its collaborative effort to support the metropolitan city in crafting both the SAMP and the bike plan in the late summer of 21. I'm stressing the years, these numbers, because that was the time when pandemic still spread its negative efforts worldwide, particularly impacting on mobility. It is still in our mind the wide use of remote work and study modalities, such as the prevalence of distance-assisted learning among students. So during these difficult times, the metropolitan city started the planning process. So this is the planning process. It's a linear scheme, but you have to have in mind that it is a circular one. So the last part of this flow, the orange rectangles, are the beginning of the new cycle. So the start is the current scenario. Here, the data, the information about mobilities and many other related fields are identified and selected, including the big data that I'm going to describe in the next slide. From this scenario, without any added intervention, the trend scenario is obtained as a natural evolution of the current scenario at a fixed 10-year time frame. Then, by adding interventions and projects that are meant to be working at the selected time frame, the reference scenario is obtained. The reference scenario, with all the additional variables added from other analyses, highlights strengths, weaknesses, and problems. So strategies and action to improve this scenario in a sustainable perspective have to be identified to obtain the project scenario. Just a few words about big data. The Sustainable Urban Mobility Plan of the Metropolitan City is the first Italian one based on big data, instead of relying solely on traditional survey methods. The strategic decision provided invaluable insight into mobility patterns within the metropolitan area. For example, a considerable portion of movements do not originate or terminate in Naples itself, but are concentrated solely in other regions. The whole process, focusing on strategy development, involves significant engagement with citizens and stakeholders. These aspects stand as one of the most crucial components of the planning process, and various methods were employed to ensure broad participation. Social media campaign, formal assemblies, general meetings, and direct involvement with thematic stakeholders. Consequently, the vision and strategies are crafted in cooperation with stakeholders and citizens, aligning with common goals and agreed upon objectives. The result of this process are the alternative scenarios. At this stage, the planning process transitions from the strategic to the operational level. Different alternative scenarios are constructed. Those scenarios consist of a mix of interventions aimed at addressing the objectives and strategies identified previously, with the goal of mitigating the issues identified in the current state and those identified from simulating the trend scenario and the reference scenario. The resulting main scenario is selected through a multi-criteria analysis. The shared vision is a multi-layered framework comprising existing infrastructure and mobility systems, planned or financed projects intended to be operational at the established time frame, and planning solution devised during the process to address highlighted problems and weaknesses. So the result of this process is the Sustainable Urban Mobility Plan at 2031, because the fixed time frame is 10 years. This vision encompasses different planning solutions. This one is the implementation of an east-west bound bus rapid transit system to link the densely populated northern area. This planning solution is a direct result of the big data used in the definition of the current scenario. Another planning solution is the technological transformation of the coastal train to re-establish connectivity between the two sides of the railway. This involves transitioning from a normal speed train to a slower service that shares the same railway infrastructure with more stops and reduced risks. The implementation of a hub system to facilitate seamless integration between public transport, active mobility options, and private transportation modes is another planning solution. Among these solutions, adaptation required by existing infrastructure to enhance their attractiveness for both passenger and freight mobility are also planning solutions. Well, moving to the bike plan, the most significant aspect is the development of the bike lane network connected to the European and national pathways, significantly increasing its coverage from current to 20 kilometers to more than 600 kilometers. It's a three-tier network that includes primary and secondary roads and greenways. It also includes a bike station system to facilitate integration between bicycle and transportation services, to offer services for cycling mobility, and therefore promote support bicycle culture and usage. So here are some target of the SAMP and the bike plan. The SAMP and the bike plan were formally approved by the council, by the Metropolitan Council at the end of, well, last December. So the process is now in the phase of monitoring, which is also connected with the implementation of the Metropolitan Spatial Plan. The overall mobility system outlined in the Sustainable Urban Mobility Plan and in the bike plan is a functional model that had to be subsequently refined with territorial definition and specific design solution through both the Metropolitan Spatial Plan and municipality urban planning. Well, that's the end of the presentation. Thank you for your kind attention.
The second focus is on territorial plan. Will be presented by Giovanni Cafiero, the head of the Telos Society, a consulting society. He is the head of a wide group, in multidisciplinary group that is working for the metropolitan city of Naples. He will speak about a working process not yet finished, and so he will give the main line of this plan.
Good afternoon. Thank you for the presentation and the introduction. And I will speak about some critical point of the metropolitan planning, and especially for the metropolitan area of Naples. You have listened to a precise and very analytic presentation of what the metropolitan city of Naples is going to approve and to implement. And I will speak about some general aspects. And the presentation is in Italian, but I will explain it in English. It's about the idea of a cooperative design plan for metropolitan territory of Naples, for Naples flexibility opportunity rules. Okay. So we know from great urban scientists, urban professor about urban planning, that cities is the place of the triumph. So this is a famous book from Edward Glaser, The Triumph of City. And we can say that cities were the innovation engine from the time where Plato and Socrates argued in a market in Athens. And still now, the great prosperity of contemporary London or Bangalore or Tokyo comes from the capacity of the city to produce new thinking. And study cities, it means study the human progress, evolution. And so the conclusion is the cities triumphed, but very often citizens are the loser. It means that globally you have great concentration of value-added employees in the cities, but also we live in not sustainable cities. And the one of Naples, the metropolitan area of Naples, is an area that has been, let's say, the capital of south of Italy. We have to remember that Italy, like other countries, also Germany, there's a difference between Ovest and East Germany in terms of economical development. And we must remember that we have this dualism in Italy between north, center, north of Italy and south of Italy. Let's say Naples and the metropolitan area are sort of capital of south. And traditional studies about economical gap in Italy developed this concept that the economical gap is mainly an urban gap between the two parts of Italy. And so to improve the development of the southern cities of a great metropolitan area like Naples, it's very important to act, to plan, to program at the metropolitan and urban scale, because from this development you will have a general social and economical development. And so all the challenges we have now in Europe and in the world about sustainability, ecological transition, mobility, and so on, are strictly connected to a metropolitan managing system. And in Italy, we have developed some we call indicators of fair and sustainable well-being, indicatori di benessere equo e sostenibile. And so our statistic bodies, national ISTAT, developed the report about all the metropolitan area in Italy, so that we can compare the condition of all the different metropolitan area. And in several aspects, metropolitan area of Naples have very critical indicators. It's first for mortality for traffic accident, first for mortality in cancer, and other not really good indicators, and at the same time as very positive indicators about environmental and especially cultural heritage. And so one of the elements is to give a lot of importance to cultural heritage. That is something that is normally not central in our and European reflection about sustainability. For example, what is called the Bologna chart, manifesto chart about metropolitan development is not dealing with heritage. And on my opinion, the social and cultural aspects and the heritage, that is one of the main point of where you can accumulate and symbolize the cultural and social aspect are very important. And in this area, metropolitan area of Naples is, let's say, the first also in Italy. So we have metropolitan area of Venice, Florence, Rome. So we have a lot of cultural cities, but the Naples metropolitan area is the first for a number of museums and historical sites. And we have to deal for a metropolitan area like Naples with the problem of the complexity. And to deal with complexity, you need a cooperative dimension, a cooperative action. And this is a very difficult point in general, not only in Naples, not only in Italy, but let's say in the world. It's something connected with what we can say difficult of institution and democracy that must be, should be the infrastructure for cooperation in a society. This is a very critical point. We have to cooperate between municipality, we have to cooperate between enterprises, institution, and private social bodies, and community in general. And another critical point is that institutions usually are very focused on compliance. Is your plan has compliance with the upper level plan? Is your urban plan of your municipality in compliance with metropolitan plans? This is correct, but it's not enough. What we need is to be able to cooperate in a planning way with the process, a design process, and goals, defined goals. So we may say we have three main issues: subsidiarity in a vertical way from local to upper level, and in a horizontal way between sectors, public sectors of the same level, and public and private, and so on. Sustainability, and this is something that we are speaking about a lot. And but the third point is capacitation. It means that every plan, every program must include a process of capacitation. So a process where every entity, public, private, is going to improve their capability and to train, to have a kind of education that you have to continuously empower. And this is a concept developed by an Italian sociologist, Carlo Donono, who died in 2016. He studied in Frankfurt and was one of the builders of sociology in Italy in the university. And recently was published a book from some studies of Carlo Donolo, and the book was called Ponti leggermente costruiti, that means lightly built bridges. And this is a sentence from a poem of Hölderlin, and it means that institution should not be a defined built bridge, but a lightly built bridge that in a process together with the social civil society must be built in a complete way. What is very important for in general for planning and of course for a plan, a metropolitan plan that has a big complexity, also for a transcalar dimension. You have to set rules, so regulative dimension. You have to pay attention to a strategic dimension, a long-term goals, and the collaborative, cooperative dimension that we were speaking in advance, and also a design dimension. That means now we need to have to implement specific projects at the same time in a framework, in a general framework. And it's something it's going on with the Metropolitan City of Naples that is it's working in the same time in the strategic plan, so funds for a project, and the mobility plan and the urban plan, the metropolitan plan. And another point very important that it's connecting with the problem we have in democracy and in general for the life of institution is the time as a dimension. We can think to time in two ways. In Greek we have two. In ancient Greek we have two words. Chronos, it means a metrical time, but also kairos, that means the time of opportunity. It is something very difficult for institutions because they are rigid, they are not agile, they are not smart. Not one institution is a problem, I think, of our democracy, but I prefer democracy than country where you decide without discussing and immediately you implement your project. But we have to deal with efficiency and kairos time, opportunity time for every need of the society. Yes, I'm going to finish. In the strategic plan, we have thought also to cultural itineraries. We have Aeneas route. That is something that it's very important here for to promote Naples, because it's the place where from ancient Greek came in Italy and let's say in Europe the great diffusion of Oriental Mediterranean civilization, Greek civilization, for example. Cuma is the first settlement, Greek settlement in Italy and in Europe. So about participation process, we designed and implement 5 metro meetings all around the metropolitan area about different themes. So to discuss, and all of this discussion, all of these seminars are described in reports that are on the platform of Metropolitan City of Naples. So you can see the reports. And all of this I've said. This is the idea of Kairos as time, opportunity time. And so thank you for the attention.
Thank you. Let's go to the last presentation, Paola Napolitano. You know, almost any region is flood, landslide hazards. In Campania region, we should add coastal erosion, volcano risks, breadices. So resilience is a very important issue in planning. Mm-hmm.
Okay. Okay. Okay, good evening. I'm Paola Napolitano. I'm employed in the Metropolitan City of Naples, and I work in the land planning department in the GIS office. I'm very happy to have this talk today. Everyone knows that today is the World Earth Day, and for me, it's very nice to celebrate this day with this speech. I know that it's late and you're very tired. I will be very, very fast. In the first part, I will make a very fast overview on what are natural hazards in metropolitan area of Naples. And then I'll show you how the Metropolitan City of Naples tries to contrast these hazards. About natural hazards, we have almost everything: volcanic hazard, seismic hazard. Here you see the image of the earthquake in Ischia in 2017, bradices, hydrological hazard, both landslide and flooding hazard, and we also climate change, so heat waves, extreme weather, drag storms, and sea level rise also. About about volcanic hazard, we have 3 volcanic areas. Vesuvius, last eruption was in 1944. Phlegraean Fields, last eruption was in 1538. That time, a new volcano was created in less than 1 week. And in Ischia, we had last eruption in 1302. We also have seismic hazard. This map shows the classification according to the seismic classes from Civil National Department of the municipalities of the Metropolitan City of Naples. And you see that most of the municipalities are in medium class. And this means that there are technical regulations by law, both for urban planning and for construction in seismic areas. About bradicism, Phlegraean Field is a vast active area. This is the border of the
caldera of the main eruption that occurred almost 40,000 years ago, and is affected by the phenomenon of bradisism. That is ground formation that has two alternating phases, slow lowering, that is subsidence, and more rapid uplifts that are accompanied by shallow low magnitude earthquakes. And we had two crises in the last centuries, in the 70s and the 80s. Then we had a long period of subsidence, and since 2005 we had again uplift, and till now we had a total uplift of more than 1 meter. And since last year, the magnitude and the frequency of the earthquakes increased. So we see, as my colleague before in her talk said, there was a national law for emergency plan. We also have hydrological hazard. This map is a synthesis of landslide and flood hazard maps that were produced by the district basin authorities in southern Apennines. And you see that red and orange areas are areas with high and very high landslide hazards, and the blue areas are areas with medium and high flood hazards. About climate change, we have the problem of heat waves. This is a map that was produced by researchers from the University of Naples. And we see the red areas, red and orange, are the areas where the 8 islands are bigger. And these areas correspond with the urban areas. Also, we have other phenomena of extreme weather, storms. This image is in the Via Caracciolo in Naples. This is one of the restaurants close to the restaurant where you're going tonight to have your pizza, that is completely destroyed. And then we have but today is there is no emergency, so you are safe. Then here we have image from the debris flow in that we had in Ischia Island 2 years ago, and then now it's always more frequent, strong winds with trees that fall down and they create damage everywhere. But before talking what does the Metropolitan City of Naples do to reduce the risk, I show you this formula that is the conceptual risk equation that relates the hazard with risk and resilience. The risk for population and goods is due to the product of hazard, exposure, and vulnerability. So if we want to reduce the risk, we have to reduce one or some of these three components. The resilience, that is the capability to withstand or to recover quickly from natural risks. The resilience helps to reduce these components. Just to make an example, not for any kind of risk we can reduce the three components. But for example, if we consider the seismic risk, we cannot act on hazard because we cannot reduce the hazard of an earthquake, but we can reduce vulnerability, for example, building vulnerability with anti-seismic constructions. What does Metropolitan City of Naples do to recover quickly from natural risks and the reduction of natural Metropolitan City of Naples that are planning, define strategies and actions. We will see very quickly now what does Metropolitan City of Naples do with this, and of course communication and dissemination is transversal to all these kind of actions.